Hey, welcome to another bonus edition episode on the Friday 1 Minute News Program. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day on this beautiful Friday. I'm trying to link up video on YouTube, so I hope you guys can see my beautiful face and also hear my amazing voice on my new microphone. Yes, that's right. I stepped up in the game. I no longer have a really cheap Chinese knockoff microphone that... I just watched that stupid movie, The Zohan, and they were like, Sony Guts. It's like one of those stupid mics. I just got it because I was like, I want to start a podcast, and we'll try this out. And it turns out I enjoy doing podcasts. I hope you guys are enjoying my news. I have gotten a few comments that really have just like, I'm taken back by it, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys that reach out to me, because sometimes doing these, it can get exhausting, to say the least, to be on top of the news and worrying about the news cycle and trying to stay on top of the 24 hours. I've learned to try to compartmentalize and when to look at stuff and when not to look at stuff, or else I would just be staring at my phone all day. And guess what? I have a real job too, people. And I'm getting my master's degree right now, so I'm just swamped with stuff. I have a few... Before we get into some things of the week, I have a few updates. Zuckerberg caves and says, caves, whatever. Don't you love news titles? They just they'll make it sound a certain way. So Mark Zuckerberg caves, if you want to say caves. It says Facebook will ban hate speech in its ads and put warning labels on quote unquote harmful posts by public figures after nearly 100 advertisers boycotted the tech giant, which I totally get. I mean, advertisers have the right to do whatever they want, and you have the right to buy from whatever advertisers you want. I think that is the beautiful thing of the free market. So apparently they took it as that, and then now you have the opportunity, if you disagree with that, to get off Facebook or stay on and just be like me and just say, I honestly could care less. I mean, I think it's stupid, the whole hate speech thing, because what is hate speech, and why is some things okay and why are some things not okay? Or like, why is some accounts considered hateful? Or like somebody like Alex Jones, who's like really fringe and crazy, but yet ISIS is still allowed to be on Twitter. Like stuff like that. Like, I don't understand. Another thing that just came out, Donald Trump signed an executive order protecting American monuments after the FBI and all these accusations of the Andrew Jackson statue being torn down, and he's demanding 10 years in prison for vandalizing that. What are your thoughts on that? Do you care about that? Do you care about statues that much? I don't care about the physical statues, to be honest. I do care about the history. I care about history. I care about context, and I care about how America was formed. And yes, there's some evil things in every single country, but I think we need to remember those so we don't repeat them. Because I always think that when we erase history, we're just doomed to repeat it, because things will come out very passionate and very loving at first, and then all of a sudden a turn for evil. So, what are your thoughts on the whole statues things? I also love history. I'm one of those weirdos who enjoy reading history books, love going to history museums. Not everyone's that way. I feel like the people that are just like don't care about the statues whatsoever don't, in some capacity, don't really care about history in that regard as much. Not to like put a blame or whatever. I hope you guys don't judge me. It's Friday. I'm ready for this week to be over. I don't know about you. Another also big thing that's coming down the pike is the Democrat House votes for Washington, D.C. to become the 51st state and be renamed to Washington Douglas Commonwealth, which is interesting, but it'll get shot down by the Senate. I mean, do we need another state, really? I think we're just kind of trying to outwoke each other at the moment. And speaking of outwoking each other, let's go over some silly news. This is one of the funniest news things I think of the week is this man. He went to a store for hot dogs, and he walks out with $100,000 jackpot. I mean, these stories of people winning jackpots, I want to have that story. I mean, I've bought a jackpot maybe twice in my life. I don't know how many times you've bought one, but I've only bought it a couple of times, and I never win anything. I think I've won 10 cents one time, so I don't really see the point. I do sports gamble sometimes. Ooh. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I hope you don't judge me for doing that. But yeah, I do that sometimes. there hasn't been too many crazy stories over the week. Where like last week about the girl that had bubble tea every day and went into a diabetic coma. We haven't had anything like that. A new Guinness Book World Record is a kid that broke the fastest math score, and he's only 10 years old, which is amazing. I saw this couple in Tanzania found these black diamonds and now they're millionaires overnight, and it's incredible. Could you imagine? I just can't imagine coming from so much poverty and not being. I just read their story about how they were going from one day being worried about having to eat for a week, and now they're millionaires. I mean, just the idea of that. I mean, and would you stay in the same area? I don't think I would. I think I would move or travel and do all kinds of stuff. What about you? What would you do? Okay. Now I'm going to go into some of the more serious stories and something I kind of want to talk about. I saw these stories being pushed around all week, and I don't know your thoughts on them, but I just think they're absolutely ridiculous. And maybe you're like me, or maybe you disagree with me. And again, as I open up, as I give commentary on things, some of you guys enjoy it, but also know it's okay to disagree with me. I don't want my audience just to be quote unquote, yes men, I guess, if you will, where you just agree with everything I say. And I want dialogue. If you disagree with me, email me at theoneminutenews. We'll talk about it. I enjoy being wrong on things because then I get to learn. And I think we as a society have forgotten how to learn. And we just want to be right. And we think because we have the power of Google, or we find some silly story out of nowhere that all of a sudden, oh no, we're so right about everything in life. And I want everyone to come to me for the answers. I don't understand our culture in today. But this was the weird stories coming around this week, is I saw it on so many media websites about how the protests are not leading to a spike in COVID cases, even though right now on all the news platforms, they're saying we are having a current spike. Like Texas is shutting down bars again. California is hitting numbers they haven't hit ever. Florida, New York, all these states are starting to spike. And you can kind of see how the media sees that, and then they want to negate what the obvious answer is. Because you had all these people, yes, there was people out there protesting, before the Black Lives Matter protests about being on lockdown. And I just remember the media going nuts on these people. Like, how could you walk around without a mask on? And if they did have a mask on and they were protesting, people were going nuts of like, look at these idiots. And then 1 week later, George Floyd thing happened. Yes, terrible, horrible. So glad that guy's going to be put on trial for murder. And now we have, then we had all the protests, and there was thousands of people around screaming and yelling. What was it? No justice, no peace, no peace, no I forget what it was, but people were screaming in huge crowds, and how it's so obvious that there will be a spike because of it. And then you can see how the media is like putting out all these stories. Like I've seen like stories of experts say, and my favorite is when I see the word experts, because I'm like, yeah, okay, you studied, you have a degree. That makes you an expert for the rest of your life on certain issues, sure. But also, you could also be wrong, and you're just human like the rest of us. So Black Lives Matter, all these news media outlets are saying that the protests aren't leading to the spike. It's actually just states opening too early. And it could be, yes, the states have opened too early, and also B, the protests, both protests. Also people just going out and being unaware and just not caring. And also, I think we kind of knew this as a population of people who are logical thinkers, that when we open up, there will be an initial spike. I mean, I don't understand the thought process of all these news media outlets saying that they're surprised by a spike when we've reopened. Of course it's going to happen. Even if you wear masks and stuff like that, you're touching things. Even wearing masks, I've touched my face more than I've ever touched my face in my entire life, just because I'm wearing a stupid mask. And like, I like to work out, so I go to the gym, And when I'm in the gym, I'm sweating. I'm trying to breathe. I sometimes pull my mask on below my nose just so I can breathe so I'm not having a heart attack. I don't know if you've experienced what I've experienced with just wearing a mask while working out. So protests, being out in public, going to bars, eating, spitting, driving, talking, having conversations will lead to a spike. And we know it. But I don't know your thoughts on this. Are our ICUs overwhelmed at the moment? No. So what are we doing right now? I mean, I'm down to wear a mask. I'm fine with wearing masks and walking out in public. And I think we just need to be logical we're at the point where we need to be logical about this. I think we understand the disease a little bit, or this virus a little bit more. And we understand that maybe that masks do help, even though the CDC said that they didn't help, and then they did help, and then Fauci came out and said that, we had the whole mask thing because we didn't want our doctors to be without masks, which is great, but I wish they would have just said that because it was kind of obvious at the moment. My wife's a nurse. I don't know if you guys know this. She's an ICU nurse, so I knew that there was going to be this event, and she was like, yeah, masks will help you. But and she was telling me we only wear masks when we are in direct contact with these type of patients. So all these people walking around with masks on with no symptoms, she's like, I don't even understand. So, but I know, what are your thoughts on that? I don't want to be crazy. I don't want this to be like on some people to freak out because I've said these things and all that stuff. But thoughts on, I just think it's silly that just another reason why I started the 1 Minute News. I want to look at the news logically, and I don't want to have an agenda. I don't have an agenda. I'm telling you folks right now, I do not have an agenda. I don't care. Somebody said on one of my TikToks, I do 1 minute TikToks, and they were like, hey, are you a Trump supporter? Or like, hey, where do you get your news? And like, I'm happy to share anything about where I get my news. I get my news literally from every news source I possibly can every single morning. I double check everything and I triple check everything, and I don't lean on one news source because I know we cannot in this time lean on any one news source for anything, no matter what you believe. And I want to produce something that doesn't have an agenda and is unbiased. Besides the commentary on these bonus episodes, obviously my biasness is going to shine through. And that's what I tell people. They're like, well, what do you believe? And I'm like, well, if you listen, you'll probably start to kind of figure out what I believe. But when I do the 1 Minute News, I don't want to have any bias. And I don't care if it makes Trump look bad. I don't care if it makes Biden look bad. I don't care who it makes look bad, as long as it's the truth. And I'm just so sick of the news being afraid of making their candidate look bad because of facts being put out there, because of truth being put out there. And just like this whole COVID thing, this new spike in the news media that is like all for Black Lives Matter, which I don't care what you believe or what your thoughts are on it. I think it's great, whatever. We live in a free society. You can believe whatever you want. I just think I don't understand how they don't see that the public can read a story like that. Read a story how they're saying like these protests, studies have shown that the protests don't actually increase the spike. It was actually the Memorial Day guys going out on their Trump boats or something. The media and their biasness is so ridiculous. I don't understand how we as people watch that and pay them money with our clicks and and I don't understand how advertisers, if I was a company, I would not advertise with people who just spit out lies. I don't understand that. I would look for independent people like myself to go on with, because I feel like they are more trustworthy because they don't have an agenda. Nobody's paying me to do this. I'm not paid by the NRA or paid by Biden campaign. So I'm going to say whatever I want, whenever I want, and within reason. I'm not going to go crazy. Like always, I always want to check myself because I want to be human and I don't want to be just like a fringe crazy person. And so that kind of like goes on to my theme of the week and what I feel like is one of the biggest problems in our culture today, and one of the biggest problems that kind of shine through all the protests, through media and everything that was coming out of people's mouths. And that is, I personally do not feel we as a country particularly have like a race issue, but we have a dehumanizing issue. And I think that is because of social media, because of the news, because of our politics, because of people in leadership. And I really think those things kind of shine, especially news, social media. I mean, there's videos that go around on the internet of people being just flat out beaten up. I just saw this one guy put in brass knuckles and then knock this kid out. And people were just laughing while somebody else filmed. And then you saw all those other videos of the protests of people being run over, people cheering that. I saw people being cheered by getting knocked out in front of their store. I am deeply concerned about our culture and where we're heading if we continue to dehumanize each other. And I think this goes on both sides of the spectrum. Whether you're a Biden supporter or a Trump supporter, I've seen where people on Biden's side will look at Trump supporters like they're animals. I saw Susan Rice said something about how that after this election, after Biden wins, that Trump and his supporters can go to hell where they belong. And then I've seen on the other side where people are just like, Biden is deranged and insane and he will destroy this country. And depending on what you believe is, and just I've seen other stuff where people just like physically mock him in his decline mentally and his slowness. And then I've seen where conservatives just go after liberals, and I've seen where liberals go after conservatives, and the way they go after them and the way they talk about each other is like they're talking about a different species or a different animal. And I'm deeply concerned about where we are as a culture and society where we just want to burn things down. I don't think that helps for making bridges. I don't think that helps for showing each other love. Like, it's always interesting seeing all these posts about, love wins and like love is the root of it. And then you're like, well, what if I vote for this? And they're like, oh, well, that you're not love then, and I hate you. And so I want us as a society to really strive to find and see each other as humans again. That if you are a Biden supporter, if you are like a staunch liberal, you're super woke, whatever, you can look at Donald Trump and his supporters and see them as human. And that might be really hard for you, but I really want to encourage you to do it because I'm so tired of us talking about each other like we are just not human and that we are just clicks and that we deserve to be on video and shown on video. I'm tired of people just showing videos of each other and not acting like these people have lives, these people have jobs, these people have kids, these people have husbands and wives. And where is empathy? I don't see it in the news, and I'm hoping I see it in real life more. But it's getting harder and harder to do as I'm like still kind of in lockdown. And we're not as free of a society right now. Where is your empathy towards the other side? Are you a Trump supporter and you look at Biden supporters, you look at the woke, or you look at AC supporters or super liberal and think those people are insane and they need to be out of our country now? The more aggressive we get as a society and within politics and within the news and media, the farther apart we become. And I'm seeing it harder and harder for us to even be able to have a conversation with somebody that has different views than us. I want to encourage you to be okay with having a conversation, to showing sympathy, maybe empathy, towards someone that has different political views than you. Even if it's something that really makes you angry. Because we will never be a unified country if we continue down this streak of anger, clickbaitiness, and just flat out stupidity. We need to be able to have educated conversations. And the only way that is by educating yourself and learning about context and truth so that when you see these news media outlets push these crazy agendas, you can call them out. The more I read the news, the more I just hate the news. Yes, I need it in order to make a program for you guys because I'm not like this crazy journalist. But the more I read the news, there is so much agenda push. And you can just tell that these corporations or these ideologies push the news more than the news pushes the news, more than facts push the news. And it's scary. And I fear for us as a country. I fear for us. I mean, it's so obvious on social media how like aggressive people are and also how one side is more open and the other side is not. I'm worried about the side that is not as open because those people get angrier and angrier the more they're told to shut up. I think we need to be back to a society where we have open discussion about ideas, and we need to be okay when we're wrong. But with those open discussion and those ideas, then we can take out some of the crazy ideas. Instead of harboring these evil ideas in these small forums or in these small groups of people where they say, hey, come on, we believe what you believe. Come on over. We know you're not welcomed in society. Come on over. Man, I want us as Americans to stand up for freedom of speech and freedom of discussion amongst each other. Are you willing to stand up for somebody who's on the opposite aisle so that you can have discussion with them? That's my encouragement to you guys. That's my encouragement to myself. And I don't even know if this is being encouraging to you or if you enjoy it, but I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that I can have these honest conversations with you on Friday because I feel like Friday is like a day for me to counsel myself from the craziness of the week. I'm so tired of the media agenda and biasness, and I'm tired of like us as a culture listening to the media who are making all these millions of dollars off our clicks, off of like encouraging us to be crazy, as opposed to us just looking at each other as Americans and being loving and being okay with somebody who has a different opinion or view than you. That's where I want to be. I want to be friends with people who don't believe what I believe because it sharpens either my beliefs or it makes me question what I believe. And that's the only way we will progress as a country. So come back to America with me. Look at people as humans. If you are a Biden supporter, look at Trump as a human. If you are a Trump supporter, look at Biden as a human. Look at his supporters as a human. I just want to encourage you to do that. And I don't want you to go, well, I do that already, but they don't. Don't worry about them. Just worry about yourself. You can only fix yourself. If you worry about everyone else, you will go crazy. Okay. Sorry, that was a little intense. Let's get into some of your comments and questions. And I just want to thank all the people that just continue to reach out to me and say like really wonderful things of saying like, wow, thank you so much for everything you do. And thank you for providing the 1 minute news and all that good stuff. I just want to also remind people that I'm on every single podcast platform. I'm on Apple, Google, Spotify, Deezer, whatever. However you can get a podcast, I'm on it. So please download that podcast, subscribe so that you can just get the updates. Because I usually put the news on at like 7:30 in the morning Mountain Time. And sometimes people get it later in the day. And you can get it early in the morning if you just show up. Let's see. This guy said, hey, 1 minute news. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the potential presidential debates between Trump and Biden. I'm not so sure it's going to happen. And if it does, I could see it being virtual and being really awkward and weird. I don't really know what your thoughts on that. I think that the more they put Biden in front of a camera, the worse it gets. Like he just said, 120 million coronavirus cases, deaths in America. And then there was something with his feed that kind of went jittery. And I think Democrats are kind of leaning on his cabinet more than himself, that is such a crazy point where we're at in society where that's okay. But, you vote for what you want to vote in. I mean, conservatives do the same thing with Trump in some capacity where they don't like Trump, but they like his policies or judges he appoints. So I can kind of see why people vote that way. I just also want to give a shout out. I just got a new Patreon person, Wesley. Thank you so much for being a patron. I have a Patreon page. It's at the bottom of my YouTube, and it's also on my 1 Minute News on the podcast. Those of you, it's like $5 a month if you want to just support the show and be a part of the cause of providing unbiased news to multi-generational people. And then it's like $8 a month if you want to dictate what I talk about in the bonus episode. If you're like, hey, I have this issue and I want to know your thoughts, you can pay $8 a month and be a part of that club. I hope you guys are a part of it. I hope you guys see it. I would love for this to be a full-time job and me to be able to produce amazing content for you guys every single day. That would be a super big dream to mine. The whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. Somebody made a comment. Megan appeared to be laughing at the situation too. I don't know what my thoughts are as far as Jimmy Kimmel thing. I think sexualizing a 15-year-old is not okay. And just because she's laughing, I know that sexual abuse or people that feel abuse can nervously laugh at things that aren't funny. And that should be pointed out, because just because she could be laughing doesn't make it okay, you know? And it's weird that this person was started to argue with me about well, she's okay with it. I'm not okay with a 15-year-old being sexualized. I don't care. That's not okay with me. And it shouldn't be okay with you. I mean, could you imagine if she was 10? And what if she was 10 and laughing about it? Is that okay? Well, she was laughing. I mean, come on. As an adult, I think as adults, we need to stand up for our children. And sometimes they don't have a voice. And if something's not right like that, we should stand up and say something. The whole fake ticket thing, somebody made a comment about. I don't know your thoughts about the fake tickets in the convention. I think it's kind of silly and stupid that that's even a possibility of what happened. The whole trolling thing is it's on both sides, and it's just exhausting to deal with. I wish people were just more adultish when it came to stuff like that. I don't know your thoughts. Maybe you love it. Maybe you're like, hey, finally you got Trump and his supporters. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then there was 12 million people watching on Instagram. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. I have some other, comments from people. I had a comment from somebody that's an old high school buddy, which says I'm really digging the 1 Minute News, just facts. Keep it up, brother. I appreciate those kind of comments because I don't know if you guys know, I spend 3 or 4 hours every morning reading through the news, just finding simple facts. Just simple facts. It's insane what I have to go through just to put out the 1 Minute News. It's so stupid. Somebody made comments about the Ron Jeremy thing, which I think is sad, but I mean, he's a creepy porn star. Whatever. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of comments that are just thank you for the 1 minute. So I honestly appreciate every single one of you guys. Again, I try to put unbiased news every single day. Subscribe on any of the podcasts. I get a lot of people that just click my links that I send for Buzzsprout. Please subscribe on a podcast app, because then I can kind of see how many actual listeners I have, and also you can just subscribe, and then you get it downloaded immediately, so you don't have to wait for me to post anything. Because the second I put it online, it's available on your RSS feed, and if you don't know what an RSS feed, doesn't matter. You just refresh whatever. All you have to do is go to your app, and then you my Apple app, and I put in 1 Minute News, and then I swipe down, and then it gets refreshed. So I hope that helps. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thank you again for listening. I hope this was worth your time. Maybe I'm going on vacation this next week, so maybe I'll do a bonus episode here and there. Maybe I'll have a conversation with somebody who has different opinions with me. I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And again, just want to remind you that this week, my encouragement to you is to remember how to see somebody as a human and not dehumanize them just based on their beliefs, and particularly in this world, in this climate, their political beliefs. I hope I don't get fired from this podcast, but you never know in today's world. I hope you have a fantastic day, fantastic weekend. I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate every single one of you that shares my podcast, is not afraid to show people about the 1 Minute News, and also not afraid to like my videos and all that good stuff. Have a fantastic weekend. And that's it on another edition of the 1 Minute News.